If you were to ask Leaf fans who their MVP of the season is, up until this point, 49 games in, you'd probably get a mixture of 4 to 5 to 6 names, or you might not even get an answer based on the way that they played and the position that they're in right now, which is 1 point outside of a playoff spot, which is a second wild card. It hasn't been a very good season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. However, they have started to turn it around, and that kind of began around the Christmas break. And one of the names you would get would be Austin Matthews. And rightfully so, based on his play from about December 27th until now. Because before that, it wasn't the same Austin Matthews. He looked hurt. He looked disinterested. He didn't look very engaged at all. I'm not going to say he wasn't trying. I will never throw that on a player, but he did not look like the Austin Matthews we were used to seeing. He looked like the Austin Matthews that we saw last season, where his shot velocity was down, his skating speed was down. All around, his game, at least his offensive game, kind of went missing. But he's turned it back on. Like I said, since December 27th, 12 games, 11 goals, 8 assists, 19 points, 10 of those goals being even strength, 48 shots, which is just behind McKinnon, McDavid, and Celebrini. 23% shooting percentage, which is spectacular. And he's really changed his game. So I would say over the last 12, he's been their MVP. So his name would obviously be in the mix. You'd also hear William Nylander, who for the first half of the season was undoubtedly their best player. Game breaker, multiple game-winning goals, multiple overtime goals. When he's on the ice and he's engaged, he's one of their best players. At times better than Austin Matthews, even when Austin Matthews is at his best, which is very rare. However, he did go on an 11-game goal drought. He has been injured, as was Matthews. He's missed some games. It's almost as if Nylander was hot and Matthews wasn't, and then Nylander wasn't hot, and then Matthews started to pick it up. It's almost like a tale of two halves of the season. But Nylander's name would surely be in there. He's still the team's top goal scorer. You'd also hear John Tavares, who has gotten really cold lately, but he started off hot. 12 goals, 27 points in the first 21 games. There were talks on specific radio stations and TV stations and even online about maybe John Tavares playing his way into Team Canada for the Olympics. Obviously slim to make that team, and he hasn't made that team. But that's how well he was playing. He was one of the best Canadian players in his position during that short stint at the beginning of the season. But since then, it's been a big-time drought. The goals have been very hard to come by. He looks a bit slower. And I think a lot of that has to do with playing a lot of minutes when Austin Matthews was out, when they were missing key players like Matthew Nyes, and they had to overuse John Tavares in certain spots, power play, penalty kill, and playing him 20-plus minutes a night. But his name would also be thrown in there. You'd also hear Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who probably has been their most consistent player from the beginning of the season until now. He played his way onto the Swedish national team. He's going to the Olympics. And that says a lot about what he's been doing. He's on pace, or was on pace, for career highs in almost every offensive category. He can still hit those, goals, assists, and points, and he plays in almost every situation for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's quarterback to power play. He's scoring goals. And like I said, the most consistent player who has not been injured. So his name would also be thrown into the mix. But for me, I have to go with the goaltenders, specifically Joseph Woll. There's a reason for this Toronto Maple Leafs turnaround where they went from bottom of the Eastern Conference, last place in the East, not just their division, bottom of the Eastern Conference on December 1st. And they turned that around, and that is because of goaltending. Yes, they started getting healthier. Yes, Austin Matthews started playing better, and those things are very important. But if you're not getting the goaltending like they did last season, you're not going to be successful in this league. Look around the league, and I'll tell you what teams have. You could actually just look at the standings, and I'll tell you what teams have good goaltending and what teams don't. Look at the Ottawa Senators. Underlying metrics offensively are spectacular. Can't get a save. And that's a problem. Who said that line? NHL should be called goalie. It's the truth, because you need good goaltending to go anywhere in this league. And it's been a turnaround since December 1st because of these two guys. Again, specifically because of Joseph Woll. Because at the start of the season, up until about November, the team saves percentage was at, bottom 3 in the NHL, and that's now gone up to top 7. And that's because Joseph Woll and Hildeby have been a very good tandem, but Joseph Woll has almost been lights out, and he needed to be because of Anthony Stolarz. Stolarz starts the season. Joseph Woll's not there. He calls out the team. He gets injured. He walks off the ice. No one knows what happened to him, where he's been. And so in comes Joseph Woll and Dennis Hildeby, who had to step up for this team. And if they did not do that, we're having a completely different conversation about the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're not talking about the MVP of the season. We're talking about how many of these players are they going to sell off so they finish in a lottery position and they can start a retool maybe on the fly heading into next season. And maybe we're talking about Austin Matthews or Nylander or Tavares or Matthew Knies or Morgan Riley or some of these big name players leaving the team. But that's not the case because of the goaltending. Now, from now until the end of the season, if the Maple Leafs get into the playoffs, I believe the goaltending will be right there. But it will likely be on the shoulders of Austin Matthews if he keeps playing this way, and William Nylander. Those two guys are crucial, obviously, to what the Toronto Maple Leafs do. If you're getting the goaltending and you're getting the offensive output from your stars, tie will always go to the stars. So we'll probably be talking about Austin Matthews as the MVP of this team. But as of right now, it's the goaltending. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did I hit the nail on the head? Is it the goaltending, or am I missing somebody else, like a Jake McCabe, who's been stellar? I will say he's been really good up until the past few games. But you let me know in the comments below.